Hadi Sirika, daughter, others 100 million naira bill each. House of Representatives orders CBN to suspend cybersecurity levy immediately. Protesters storm force headquarters, demand release of detained journalists. And on the foreign scene, plane skids off runway in Senegal, injuring 10 people. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Shegun Ojumu. A federal high court in Abuja has granted 100 million naira bail each to a former Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, his daughter, and 2 others. They are being tried over an alleged 2.7 billion naira fraud. According to the court, they are also to provide 2 sureties who must have landed properties in Abuja. The sureties, the court said, must also be responsible citizens. The sureties must depose to an affidavit of means. The court also restricted the defendants from traveling abroad without its permission. Justice Origi ordered that the defendants should be remanded in prison custody if they failed to meet their bail conditions.
One of the 2 cases filed against the former minister. So the first one is taken before his lordship here. So we are going to contend for the other one in another date. So, but the bail is at the discretion of the court. So it's for the court to decide whether it is adequate or not. So a counsel in his own right cannot criticize the judge whether the conditions are liberal or high or low, but I think it is fair.
The Federal High Court sitting in Asaba, Delta State has upheld the pass of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and that of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to investigate and prosecute officials of the Delta State government who allegedly engage in corrupt acts. Justice Folashade Olubanjo held that the sister organizations whose core mandates are the same do not violate the principle of federalism and separation of powers embodied in the Constitution. The court gave the judgment in the suit filed by the Attorney General of Delta State challenging the powers of the 2 anti-corruption agencies to investigate the state government's finances and invite Delta State officials for interviews in the course of investigations. In her judgment, Justice Olubanjo disagreed with the plaintiff and held that Nigeria practices cooperative federalism, and as such, the fight against corruption is a function of both the state and the federal government. The federal government is set to commence a fresh audit of the 2.8 trillion naira fuel subsidy claim by the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited. An audit firm, KPMG, had conducted an initial audit, reducing the claims from 6 trillion to 2.8 trillion naira. The federal government is also considering either engaging an external audit firm or directing the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation to verify the claims made by the corporation regarding the amount the government owes the oil firm. The latest plan was revealed in the minutes of the Federal Account Allocation Committee meeting held in March 2024. The House of Representatives has directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to halt the proposed implementation of the cybercrimes levy of 0.5% imposed on electronic transactions by bank customers. Consequently, the House directed the CBN to withdraw the ambiguous circular in the media space and issue an unequivocal circular in line with the letters and spirit of the Cybercrimes Amendment Act 2024. The Green Chamber also mandated its committees on banking regulations and banking and other ancillary institutions to guide the CBN properly. This followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance moved by the House Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda and 359 others. Moving the motion, Mr. Chinda said the CBN, through a circular to all commercial, merchant, non-interest and payment service banks, other financial institutions, mobile money operators and payment service providers dated 6 May 2024 informed Nigerians of a proposed 0.5 levy on electronic transactions in line with Section 42, subsection 2A of the Cybercrimes Amendment Act 2024. He argued that unless immediate and pragmatic steps are taken to halt the proposed action of the CBN, the Cybercrime Act shall be implemented in error at a time when Nigerians are experiencing the aftermath of multiple removal of subsidies from petroleum, electricity, and others, and the rising inflation. The House of Representatives, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has reiterated the dangerous effects of sport betting and gambling in the country, with many Nigerians as victims of its trend. Abbas was represented by the House Leader, Julius Ihonvere, stated this in his public opening remarks at a public hearing held by the Committee on Intergovernmental Affairs. The report.
In the ever-changing world advanced by digital innovations, people are on a daily basis engaging in highly risky games, such as sports betting or gambling, by staking their enormously treasured possessions, such as money, gold, houses, other possessions, hoping to make accidental gains and chancing to get them back in multiple folds.
The chairman of the committee, Canis Nwachukwu, said submissions of invited stakeholders would aid the committee's recommendations on the matter before the House.
The leadership of the National Assembly, with all your contributions, will be considered at the end of the day. We'll have a clinical and a first-class report, which will be assembled so that it will help us to move Nigeria forward.
The Director General of the National Lottery Commission, Lanrewaju Gbajabiamila, who was represented by the Director Licensing and Operation of the Commission, Obi Nyeremu, differs from the Speaker's position on the effects of gambling, stressing on the benefits.
Gaming is the stock exchange for the poor, but we don't also encourage you to overdo it. Therefore, there are time limits to where you can play. You can't play early in the morning. You can't get an operator to play with. Most times it starts from around 3 to 7. By 7, 8, playing has stopped. Because you can't take it home, you are forced to go out to play. That is one of the things the lottery operators have done over the years.
In another development, the Joint Committees on Environment, Petroleum Resources Upstream, Petroleum Resources Downstream, and Climate Change said the oil-producing communities in Nigeria have experienced environmental degradation and socio-economic marginalization due to decades of oil exploration and exploitation. According to the committees, the abundant natural resources should be a source of prosperity and development.
The oil-producing communities in our nation have experienced environmental degradation and socio-economic marginalization as a result of decades of oil exploration and exploitation. The bountiful natural resources should have been a source of prosperity and development, but in the stead of prosperity, these communities have instead suffered from pollution, land degradation, loss of biodiversity, and deterioration of traditional livelihoods that are inestimable and irreparable.
The host communities have suffered from pollution, land degradation, loss of biodiversity, and deterioration of traditional livelihoods that are inestimable and irreparable.
Hundreds of protesters, including journalists, activists, leaders of civil society organizations, on Thursday morning stormed Nigeria's police headquarters in Abuja to protest against continued detention of a journalist with Foundation of Investigative Journalism, Daniel Ojukwu. The visibly angry protesters, led by the country director of Accountability Lab Nigeria, Friday Ode, demanded the immediate release of Mr. Ojukwu, saying his continued detention is equivalent to an extrajudicial trial and punishment. The Nigeria Police Force failed to release the detained journalist after 7 days despite a nationwide outcry. He was moved to Nigeria Police Force National Cybercrime Center in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, on Sunday.
Somebody used 147 million naira to implement a project from government funds, from the funds which are from the taxes of Nigerians. Daniel has just taken that information and written and validated that information that the project that was implemented is nowhere to be found. But, you know, he's been in prison for that purpose. So the question is, what has he done to demand that he's a criminal? So he doesn't need a good lawyer. We are saying charge him to court, charge him for whatever he has done, and let's see if we will not bring a good lawyer.
We unequivocally condemn Daniel Ojukwu's abduction and unlawful detention as unconstitutional, illegal, immoral, and unbecoming of a country that claims to practice democracy. We maintain that for Nigeria to claim its status as the continent's largest democracy, the institutions and law enforcement agencies must uphold established standards and procedures consistent with democratic norms. Until then, Nigeria cannot reconcile the title of the largest democracy in Africa.
I have heard you and I have heard all your demands. This will be communicated to the appropriate authorities, and I assure you that our Inspector General of Police will definitely take a step towards the liberation of Daniel Ojukwu. Or if it means charging him, it will be done so accordingly. I will communicate to them, and I believe that appropriate action will be taken.
Now let's take you to Lagos State, where there was heavy traffic on Wednesday at the Ikeja Computer Village as members of the Lagos State Water Corporation staged a peaceful protest over the alleged dismissal of 405 permanent staff of the corporation without due process. Victoria Tokolo has more.
Carrying placards with various inscriptions, they demanded justice for their colleagues whom they said were illegally dismissed. The Lagos Neighborhood Safety Corps, LNSC, Nigerian Police, and LASMA were all present to maintain order and ensure the peaceful conduct of the protesters.
To be able to cushion the effect of the economic crisis we have witnessed, the same God, now you are sacking. It is abnormal. It is sad. We will not allow it. We will not allow it. We will not allow it because absence of war again is not a letter of glory. We have said clearly that this government, when you are dialoguing with them, it seems that they don't care.
I'm here to test against an injustice meted out on the workers of the Lagos Water Corporation. About 405 workers of the Lagos Water Corporation were disengaged from their work on April 15th this year. And without following the due process of disengagement. We have followed the due process of disengagement by Lagos State government and Water Corporation management. Man has been that the workers that are illegally disengaged should be reinstated without any condition.
Other members of the union also voiced their displeasure with the dismissal of their colleagues.
Part of the reason these workers have been legally disengaged is because of their historical opposition to the plan of the Lagos State government and the series of management of the Lagos Water Corporation to loot the sector. If you look at major water infrastructure across Lagos State today, you are going to see that many of these infrastructures are in decrepit conditions. Many of them have been made, unproductive because of regular looting of this equipment.
We're telling the government that it is not ideal and it is not lawful for them doing such thing. Because even if they do anything, the union is supposed to be informed. And then when they inform the union, they will sit with the unionists and make a deliberation on what to do. Not that they will just lay them off with the situation of the country. Now, I don't think the governments are doing the right thing.
The union maintains that the staff whom the government claims to have dismissed are still in service and remain integral to its operations. They urge Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to intervene.
The Rivers State chapter of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON, has accused Governor Siminalayi Fubara of withholding funds meant for the local government. Addressing pressmen in Port Harcourt, Chairman of ALGON in the state, Orwell Ihunda, who is also the Chairman of Port Harcourt City Local Government Area, said the allocation has not been paid since April. The report.
Ihunda says the development was a show of executive rascality on the part of the governor, noting that the governor has refused to convene the Joint Accounts Allocation Committee meeting, which is the prerequisite for the release and disbursement of funds between the state and local governments. He described the governor's action as illegal, adding that the state was on the verge of being plugged into dictatorship.
It has come to the notice of our Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, Agon River State Chapter, that the River State government, under the leadership of His Excellency, Sir Siminalayi Fubara GSS ROS, has neglected, failed, and deliberately refused to hold the statutory Joint Account Allocation Committee meeting, JAC, which is a prerequisite for the release and disbursement of funds due to the local governments in the State Joint Local Government Account, and has continued to withhold the statutory allocation due to the 23 local government councils of River State since the month of April 2024, and in the case of Emohua since March 2024 till date for no just cause, thereby serving the third tier of government of the funds required to discharge its statutory functions in the administration of the local government areas.
They call on President Tinubu to call Governor Fubara to order to forestall a total breakdown of law and order in River State. The 21 local government area chairmen in River State have also backed the call by the All Progressives Congress, APC, for the State House of Assembly to quickly commence an impeachment process on the governor of the state, Siminalayi Fubara.
The call by the Speaker and the State House of Assembly, by the APC people, yes, if the governor has refused to live up to his expectation, then it's expected that some drastic measures should be taken against the governor of the state, and that she should be called to order. And that is what APC is actually doing.
We as local government chairmen, we are going to remain in office because the law says so. The recently amended law, local government law, that creates and provides for tenure and functioning of local governments in River State, as empowered by the Constitution, has given us an additional 6 months period, and we will remain in the office until that period expires.
Some of the chairmen, however, threatened that they will remain in office for 6 months after the expiration of their tenure, as permitted under the amendment local government law.
Meanwhile, Siminalayi Fubara, the governor of River State, paid a visit to the residential quarters of the members of the State House of Assembly today. The House of Assembly complex is reportedly set for demolition in order to prevent the assembly members who are loyal to Wike from convening. This is the news update on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. University of Jos students decry negative impact of fuel scarcity on academic activities. More news when we return. Do stay with us.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back, and if you just joined us, this is the news update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again, shall we? Court grants former Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika daughter, others 100 million naira bail each. House of Representatives order CBN to suspend cybersecurity levy immediately. As part of activities commemorating this year's World Health Day, medical practitioners in Oyo State have been urged to also engage in routine medical checkups even as they attend to their patients. Commissioner for Health Oluwashirimi Ajetumobi gave this advice in Ibadan shortly after a walk to mark the day. Here's a report.
There is no available data on the number of medical workers in Nigeria who have lost their lives in the course of carrying out their duties, but health workers here are being urged to take care of their health while they attend to their patients. The admonition was issued by the Commissioner for Health in Oyo State during a walk in commemoration of this year's World Health Day in Ibadan. Officials moved from different offices to advise workers on the need to checkmate untimely deaths within the state's workforce.
events are happening that has been tampering with humanity is in question.
The walk culminated in this health talk session where free medical checks were offered to medical practitioners, journalists and other attendees at the event.
It's been a great pillar of support to your state.
The gathering brought together specialists in various medical fields such as malaria treatment, blood sugar diagnosis, HIV/AIDS treatment, tuberculosis care, blood pressure analysis, immunization and other aspects of medicine.
Yes, healthy snacking. And when I talk of healthy snacking, I mean more of fruits that are devoid of heavy calories, that are not, I'm not talking of pastries, I'm not talking of eatery kind of food. I hope today we'll have to practice what we preach by giving us fruit.
Life expectancy has also increased. Under 5 children dying because of vaccine-preventable diseases, malaria, and other childhood illnesses has also significantly reduced where people are accessing these services provided by the government. The number of people living with new HIV infections and AIDS-related death has also greatly decreased.
Commissioner for Health urged health workers to improve their professional training and abide by work ethics in the line of duty.
It is imperative that we adopt a comprehensive approach to health that acknowledges the interdependence of physical, mental, and social well-being. This entails investing in comprehensive health systems that prioritize primary health care, mental health services, and preventive interventions, while also addressing the social determinants of health, such as poverty, housing, and even education.
The general consensus here is for medical practitioners to place more premium on their health status, be familiar with early warning signs in order to drastically reduce deaths among health workers.
Let's take you to Plateau State now, where students of the University of Jos have decried the negative impact of the current fuel scarcity across the country. According to the students, the situation has completely affected their transportation budget as well as academic activities. Ado Musa has the story.
This scenario typifies how students struggle to arrive at the university for lectures or take commercial tricycles to return home after days of academic activities. But the recent fuel scarcity being experienced in different parts of the country is not only impacting on business activities, it also affecting students who say the situation is impacting on their academic schedule.
So also like in the hike up price, yeah, and actually now I'm even late for lecture inside school, and like you can see the Okada man, we are looking for change up to now. Almost this is 1:30 and my class is almost 1 o'clock. So I don't know. I'm really stranded, but
pay money. Like for malaria, I used to pay when I was 100 level. I pay 100 naira to school. It gradually increased to 150 to 200. Now 300 from this area to pitch side. 300. You have to beg keke. Sometimes you have 8 o'clock lecture. You have to come on by 6 to have to start begging keke for 1 hour so you can enter for 200 or 250. If not, if you come late, you'll be left with no option than to enter for 300 naira. And almost every day 300 times 6 days.
It affects a number of things like my regularity in lectures, because it's when I have fuel to come for lectures that I'll be coming for lectures. I stay as far as Lucas. It's from there that I come here. And then using the commercial is not advisable since I have bike. So for that, once there's only but a lectures and then we feel like the lectures can be online, we'll just agitate that let the lectures be online instead of us coming to the classroom to come and do the lectures. But for like quantitative courses, we have no choice than to make it to the classroom in order that we will learn. So it has affected our regularity in attending lectures.
Really affecting all of us, most of us in the school, because now transport from my house to the school has like almost doubled. Also almost everything in the school now is expensive, from the biro to the books and everything. Now they are more expensive, and then it's affecting us because most of us, we are dependent on people at home. So for us it's not really easy.
The students, however, call on the government to address the problem.
Also just let the government see how they could better subsidize things for us in the country so that we have a better study habits and then other things as well.
But this thing is really affecting us. If the government can come to our aid, seriously, as students will really appreciate it. The small the school is doing by all those buses here, because if you observe now, the bus is getting extra full because everybody wants to follow the bus because of the high cost of transport.
Most of the students told Trust TV that the situation is forcing them to skip classes as a result of the strain on their lean resources. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
On the foreign scene now, a Boeing 737 plane carrying 85 people skidded off a runway at the airport in Dakar, Senegal's capital, injuring 10 people, and this is according to the transport minister, and of course footage from the passenger that showed the aircraft on fire. Transport Minister El Malik Ndiaye said the Air Senegal flight operated by Transair was headed to Bamako in neighboring Mali and late Wednesday with 79 passengers, 2 pilots and 4 cabin crew. The injured were being treated at a hospital while the others were taken to a hotel to rest. No other details were immediately available, and Boeing did not respond to a request for comment. The Aviation Safety Network, which tracks airline accidents, published photos of the damaged plane in a grassy field surrounded by fire suppressant foam on X, formerly known as Twitter. One engine appeared to have broken apart and the wing was also damaged, according to the photos. Now in sports, William Truss Ekong has returned to full training at his Greek club, PAOK Salonika, following a spell on the sidelines due to injury. Truss Ekong ruptured the biceps femoris in his right leg at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in January. The centre-back, who was named player of the tournament in Côte d'Ivoire, played through the Bain barrier at the competition. The 30-year-old went under the knife few days after the completion of the competition and was expected to miss the remainder of the season. Truss Ekong was, however, pictured in training with his teammates on Wednesday. The defender is now expected to be available for his team's last 3 league games of the season. His return will be a big boost for Nigeria, of course, who will keep a date with South Africa and Benin in a 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers in June. And with that, we've come to the end of the news update on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news programs and documentaries. I'm Shegun Oju. Many thanks for watching. See you again later. Bye-bye.